आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरुनामाकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः। लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षमङ्घ्रिद्वयं निगमशाकिशिखा प्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बर चौर्यनिग्रं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरम्। Excuse me. So, this is the Bhāvārtha session for the 42nd shloka. गुरोः सकाशादपि वेदवाक्यतः संज्ञातविद्यानुभवो निरीक्ष्यतम् स्वात्मानमात्मस्थमुपाधिवर्जितम् त्यजेदशेषं जडमात्मगोचरम् गुरोः सकाशादपि वेदवाक्यतः संजातविद्यानुभवो निरीक्ष्यतम् स्वात्मानमात्मस्थमुपाधिवर्जितम् त्यजेदशेषं जडमात्मगोचरम्. So in the 41st shloka, we see the reason why we find Brahman to be having characteristics. We find the duality, etc., etc. Basically, when we get to that point where we understand that there is characteristics associated with the Chidbimba, but not with the Chit itself, we understand there is discrimination. When there is discrimination occurring, then we know that there are plurality or different forms associated. So that is where duality comes from. That is the argument. Here, they continue, Rama is continuing saying that this is the process. This is why we see that. Now, the next logical thing is how to get rid of it. That question occurs to mind. So, how do we get rid of that? It is Guroho Sakashadapi. So, from a Guru, taking the grace of a Guru, that is seeking refuge in a Guru. Guroho Sakashat. Sakashat api Vedavakyataha, also through the contemplation of Vedavakyas. Vedavakyas, as we know, the Mahavakyas that we have gone through. So the 4 Vedavakyas, here particularly one has been mentioned, that is Tattvamasi. So the focus also is over there only. Contemplating on Tattvamasi. That is, we know how to contemplate on Tattvamasi. That has already been explained. First going through the Padarthas, then the Vakyarthas, then understanding it through negation. That is, understanding the Tat and Tvam through by getting rid of all the attributes. We are getting rid of the Sukshma Sharira, the Stula Sharira. We are looking only at the Karana Sharira. Then we are looking at the Parabrahman, what we have seen, the pure Chaitanya Satchidananda, completely getting rid of the attributes, then comparing them. Tattvamasi, how there can be total identity between them. So contemplation on Vedavakyas, or through a guru who can teach you that difference, or both of them. So, Guroho Sakashat Vedavakyataha api. Both of them, through that what happens? Sanjata Vidyanubhavaha. Sanjata, resultant, that gives rise to. Sanjata Vidya Anubhavaha. Vidyanubhavaha. So that gives rise to, that is through a guru's teaching. Guru means somebody who brightens your ajnana, darkness of ignorance. Somebody who gets rid of it, he is called a guru. So we don't say a guru is only a person who teaches us. No, who the tamas, here also tamaf prashantaye, Lakshmana says. So therefore, he is seeking refuge. And so we say Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste, and then for Krishna also Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. So he is the one responsible for getting rid of the tamasic or the darkness that is spread through ignorance. So therefore, Guroho Sakashat, by his grace. That is the difference over here. So by his grace, how to get his grace, that is also a different thing. That is Bhakti Marga is there, different things, manifestations are there. So Guroho Sakashat api, Guroho Sakashat Vedavakyataha api Sanjata Vidyanubhavaha. After that, after with the help of a guru's grace or contemplating on the Veda Vakyas, what comes to us? Something that manifests in us, the Anubhava. This is important. It is not limited to our sense organs. Usually, when we try to understand somebody through our sense organs, it has to be through certain kind of data only. Obviously, certain kind of data, when I translate it, we look at language only when the translating one verse to from one language to another language, there are so many doshas that the meaning changes at some point of time. So we are talking about the medium of instruction, the data reception itself is changing. So obviously the nature of Brahman, the ever Satchidananda, he is changing. We feel that he is restricted in something. So that goes away. From that anubhava only has to come. So when we experience it, then out of that avidya emerges, jnana emerges. That is what is going to lead us to the true path. So there, sanjata vidyanubhavaha, from these two, that is contemplation on the vakyas of the Vedas and the Guru's anugraha, when we get that experience, when we it results into that experience of that Satchidananda, then that true jnana, we understand that no, what we are experiencing today, what we experience on the Bhautika, that is the manifested forms, is not the true form. So there we get the true knowledge. That is Brahman. Having seen that, nirikshatam, but having experienced that, then swatmanam atmastham, swam atmanam. Then what happens? That vidya, that makes our self, enriches our self, where we will stop thinking about other things. That is the when we look about that bhakti also, when we have experienced the Lord's grace, being completely filled with bhakti bhava is something. Okay, I am filled with bhakti bhava. At some point of time, maybe at some other point of time, I'm obviously some other manifested problems come by, so my mind gets diverted to that. But a person who experiences that grace, that person will not be able to go beyond it. So for him, 24 hours, whatever is the time, maybe he is even lost track of time. He is only filled with that particular nature of Brahman. He is only going to focus on that. So it is going to strongly sit in his heart, Atmastham. So then Upadhi Varjitam, Upadhi we saw, the instruments is the Upadhi. Upadhi Varjitam, that means it is going to get rid of all the conditionings. This is where when we talk about sadhana chatushtaya, we say titikshatva. A person he is not affected by extreme coldness, extreme hotness, or change in any temperature. It is not affecting him. Why? Because he has lost his presence in samsara, or information. He has lost information, or he has lost conditioning to the information that is received through his sense organs, and is only living he's living in the information that he has experienced through this enlightenment. It is like when we think of a floppy disk, for example. Now, obviously, when we go for old computer systems, there is a mechanism to read that particular floppy. Therefore, any information stored over there can be understood. That is their medium. Now, what happens when the system fails, or the system, that part which receives the floppy CD or anything, any input device for that matter, it has failed. That means that USB input also, it has failed. It is not able to take that particular uh, information. So if I plug in a pen drive also, whatever is there in that pen drive, it will not be able to read. So this is what is happening, where me as a system, I am going to give up all the information that I'm going to process through the instruments. That is Upadhi Karanam. I'm giving it up. So once I have given it up, what kind of information am I processing? The experience that I have had. So that pure Chaitanya, what I had experienced, only that I'm going to experience. Therefore, I'm not going to bother with these kind of things. Obviously, now, whatever is the Sukha Dukkhadi Karanas, whatever is the Ushnatva, Shitalatva, whatever it may be, that is experienced through the instruments. So when I am not even considering the information of the instruments, what the instrument is feeling, how can I understand? That is the disconnect. So this leads to the disconnect where I'm going to be indifferent to any of these things. So that is Tyajeda Shesham. So Tyajet Ashesham, entire Ashesham. Shesham means something that is left out. Ashesham means entire, complete. So that jadatvam, that inertness, that I am going to completely give up, which is what is sensed atma gocharam, which is what is sensed through sense organs. That information I'm totally going to give up. That is what is leading to me being enlightened. So enlightenment is not merger of atma and paramatma. Enlightenment is when we realize that what is the true nature of Paramatma, and that the material world has very little relevance. So this is what is this verse saying. Astu. With this we will conclude. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।